Quid pro quo corruption. I scratch your back and you scratch mine. The Supreme Court has said that our current electoral financing system does not contain even the appearance of corruption because it doesn't involve quid pro quos. That's what Chief Justice John Roberts said in the McCutcheon decision just in 2014. First of all, that's a very low bar, Roberts Court. Really? An electoral system can only be corrupt if there is evidence of blatant quid pro quo instead of systemic corruption using public resources for private ends, because that's the kind of corruption that is rampant. And you know what? Quid pro quos have become rampant too, actually. Yes, I know a lot of you guys know that, but some people don't know. Take a look at this story. A week after President Donald Trump announced he was withdrawing from the Iran nuclear agreement, billionaire casino magnate Sheldon Adelson rewarded 5 GOP candidates with campaign donations. They all had one thing in common. They had adamantly opposed the Obama-era agreement. 3 of them are also among the most vulnerable GOP candidates running in the midterm elections. Nevada Republican Senator Dean Heller, Virginia Congresswoman Barbara Comstock, California Congresswoman Mimi Walters, Utah Congresswoman Mia Love, and Republican candidate for Congress in Nevada's 4th District, Crescent Hardy, all received campaign contributions from Adelson in May, according to Federal Election Commission records. A spokesman for the Walters campaign said Walters' support of Israel was a bigger attraction to Adelson than her position on Iran. "We are happy to receive a contribution from Sheldon Adelson, but it doesn't have to do with her position on the Iran deal," Walters said. "She has visited Israel many times, and she's a big supporter of Israel." He did add that she's been very clear about her position against the Iran deal. Representatives for Adelson and the 3 other campaigns did not return requests for comment. Silly me. Maybe I'm just a stupid plebeian, but I think that just gave off the appearance of corruption just a little bit. In fact, I'd go as far as to say as it's maybe the definition of a quid pro quo. In case you were unaware, here is the exact definition. The term quid pro quo is a Latin expression that refers to an exchange of things similar in value. In a quid pro quo transfer, one transfer of goods or services is contingent upon the other transfer. For instance, a shopper who exchanges $3 for a gallon of milk at the grocery store has received something for something. That sounds pretty much exactly like what was done in this case, even though they tried to cover it up, saying it was for Israel, not the Iran deal directly. It's a direct exchange of money to an official government action, an action done by lawmakers. They were vehemently against the Iran deal, and they, in the past, voted as such, and then encouraged the president, President Trump, to withdraw from it recently. So once the ink was dry, and we had officially withdrawn, Sheldon Adelson gave these congressmen and women their reward. And how dehumanizing is that very accurate framing from this CNBC article? "Here, doggy, here's your reward. You were a good boy or girl, and now you get a bundle of cash from Sheldon." And let's just unpack Sheldon Adelson's motivations here. They all center around Israel, as many of you may know. Billionaire casino owner and Republican Party funder Sheldon Adelson threw $150 million into a futile effort to unseat the socialist and anti-Israel Barack Obama in the 2012 election. Adelson gave $82 million towards Trump's and other Republican campaigns during the 2016 election cycle, more than 3 times the next largest individual donor, according to Open Secrets. The day after Trump announced that the U.S. was pulling out of the Iran agreement, Adelson was reported to have held a private meeting at the White House with the president, Bolton, and Vice President Mike Pence. Adelson is a linchpin in bringing together the radical extremists on the Israeli right and this group of hardliners on Israel and neoconservatives, said Daniel Levy, former policy advisor to the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. The billionaire is also deeply committed to protecting Israel within the U.S. He paid for a new headquarters for the most powerful pro-Israel lobby group in Washington, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, spent $100 million to fund birthright trips for young Jewish Americans to Israel, and funds a group opposing criticism of the Jewish state at U.S. universities. So for a second, let's imagine that the Democratic Party had a major pro-Iran donor, right? Yes, the Democratic Party has its share of massive corruption, but just imagine this specific situation for a second. A donor who spent more than 3 times the next individual donor in the 2012 campaign on behalf of Barack Obama and the Democrats, a donor whose sole purpose was to cement the power of Iran in the Middle East and get rid of anti-Iranian dissent on college campuses. Not just some random pro-Iran donor, the biggest donor in 2012 to the Democrats 3 times over, and not just pro-Iran arbitrarily, pro-Iran because he himself is a Muslim, a Shia Muslim, who wants to see Shia Muslims dominate the Middle East and cement their power. He's a massive, wealthy donor donating to Democrats so that they basically work on behalf of the neoconservative policies that he wants to promote, no matter how irrational. Can you imagine the Republican outrage? Just think about it for a second. This is just another wrinkle in the insidiousness of money in politics. Yes, an overwhelming majority of the corruption that it causes benefits corporations and the mega rich. And don't get me wrong, Sheldon Adelson cares a lot about that too. But it also allows for these mega donors to focus on one specific issue that matters to them and push it forward to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Certainly, being protective of Israel would be a policy position that would be debated even if we didn't have money in politics. But without the force of the hundreds of millions of dollars behind that discussion, do you think that it would have the immense weight and extremism that it does now, even when it's completely irrational to back what this right-wing government in Israel is doing right now? Even when it's completely irrational to pull out of the Iran deal when all indications were that they were abiding by it. Without a completely irrational man like Sheldon Adelson on this issue at least, pushing forward that conversation with the weight of all that money behind it, do you think that this is where we would be today? I don't think so. So get money out.